Hi, I'm Lynn Brandenburger. I work for the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture at Oklahoma State University. My job here is to work primarily with commercial vegetable farmers. Today we're going to talk about picking a good hoe and taking care of it for weeding, hand weeding in your vegetable field. Today I brought along 3 different types of hoes. This is one of my oldie but Goldie hoes. You might call it a grubbing hoe. You notice that this is one piece of metal. There's no welds on this metal. It's drop forged. It's a big heavy hoe, and it's great for major cultivation in a field. In other words, if you need to get down and really do some digging, this is a great hoe. It's nice and heavy and it cuts well. So that's one hoe. Another hoe that I brought is a smaller hoe that I use a lot for weeding. And it's not fairly light. It's made out of recycled disc blade, and that means that this steel has a lot of carbon in it, and it will hold an edge very well and for quite a while. So it's a good hoe to use also. The third type of hoe that I brought today to show you is called a Scuffed Hoe. And the Scuffed Hoe is for very light cultivation. You just run this hoe about maybe 1/2 inch to at most maybe 3/4 of an inch deep in the soil. So you're down about this deep. And the unique thing about this hoe is you push it and you pull it. And so it cuts. You can see the cutting blade on the front, but also on the back it's also sharp and it cuts both directions. And we've kind of gone to this type of hoe for if we have a large area to cover and we just have very small weeds. It works very well for that. The next thing you want to think about on your tools is that most of these tools have wooden handles, and you need to take care of that wooden handle, because if you don't, you'll end up with blisters. Worst case scenario, if this wood gets real dry and the grain of the wood pops up and your hand gets caught on that, it is a major ouch. You will learn how to say all sorts of things when that happens. So it's important to take care of that. And I usually just use a nice light oil. A lot of times I just use cooking oil, which is a great way to go. The next thing about this handle care and your hose is to keep them in a dry place. If they're sitting outside and getting rained on and they get rusty and this wood gets weathered out, it's just a mess. The cleaner that you keep this hoe, the easier it is to pull through the soil as you're cultivating with it. And this hoe is almost where I want it to be. It's got a little bit of corrosion on them, but very little, and I keep them very sharp. And so that's those 2 things, keeping it sharp and well scoured is the term, makes it a lot less work to use the hoe. Now, to keep it sharp, one of the things that we need to do is we need some type of a way to cut this metal. And you notice I'm putting on my gloves because these hoes are pretty darn sharp. So if I've got a leather glove on, I won't cut my hand. So I like to use a file. This file is called a handy file. It's made in the United States. It's a little more expensive than files that are made in other countries, but it's worth it because this file is good and sharp. It will cut this metal easily, and some of those other files are not sharp even when they're brand new, and they won't cut metal. So it's important to get a good high quality file. So to start off with, what we would do, and I'm just going to demonstrate this, we would take our file and we would cut perpendicular to the blade. And you say, well, that's not going to make it sharp. No, it's not, but we have all these little nicks along this blade, and by doing that we cut this metal down to where we're out of the nicks. We've got all the nicks filed off. The next thing we would do would be to file on an angle, and this is all the filing that we're doing to sharpen it is on the back side of the hoe. So we would file nice long even strokes. And you can see that I'm starting to cut metal. And then I count my strokes because I want to keep this blade the same width. If I just do it all from one direction, you'll end up with a blade that's got a lot of blade on one side and the other side's real short. And I always just count the number of strokes that I make. So you can see that we've got some cuttings there on the table. We're getting this sharp. And that will make the hoe work a lot better. It cuts weeds off easier, takes less effort, which is important. The last thing I want to show you is to talk about the proper hoe handle length and how to stand when you're hoeing. The best thing to do is to have a hoe handle that's up to your nose. This one's just a little bit short, but not too bad. But if you have a short handle hoe, let's say one that's this long, then guess what? You're going to hoe like this. And hoeing bent over, it will be very painful. It's not going to be, or might be, it will be very painful in just a few minutes. So what you want to do is, if you've got a long enough hoe handle, is you stand up straight, put your shoulders back. It's just like your mom told you when you were a kid, stand up straight and throw your shoulders back. And then we hoe like this. Now that looks kind of crazy right now, but trust me, I can hoe for a long time that way versus being bent over. So that's all we really have to talk about today on hoes. If you have further questions, feel free to get a hold of your county extension office or get a hold of Oklahoma State and talk to us about it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.